AITA for moving my assets after my wife begged me to take her back when I caught her cheating. I, a 38-year-old man, never thought I'd be posting here, but after what's happened these last few months, I figured maybe someone out there could use the warning, or maybe I just need to get it out of my head before it eats me alive. We were married for 3 years, together for 7. We met when she, a 36-year-old woman, was a single mom to a 10-month-old girl. I stepped in, helped raise her, and 2 years ago, I legally adopted her after we got married. We also have a 2-year-old son now, and for a while, everything seemed to be heading in the right direction. I work as an auto mechanic. The plan was to build a home shop so I could do side jobs without being away from the kids every night. It took me 6 months of weekend work, but I built it from the ground up. Electrical, a lift, everything. It looked cleaner than most shops in town. All I wanted was a future that let me be around my family and still pay the bills. She always liked cars, too. That was part of the hook at first. She'd say she loved getting her hands dirty with cars. She'd talk about restoring an old Chevy one day. We used to go to junkyards together and look for parts like it was a treasure hunt. I thought that meant something. I thought, shared passions, shared goals. Looking back, I think I saw what I wanted to see. She's a dental hygienist. She works part-time, 2 to 4 days a week, depending on the office. Most days, she's done by mid-afternoon. I work Monday to Friday, 8 to 6, sometimes longer, and I'm trying to get ahead on extra work. I'm not complaining. I built that shop for her, too, not just for me, so she could work on things if she wanted to be part of what I do. In the beginning, she'd come out once in a while, ask about the jobs I was on, but that tapered off over the last year, right around the time she got back into the gym. Now, don't get me wrong. She went before, back when we were dating, and she got serious about it again after we had our second child. She'd be up at 4:30 in the morning, out of the house before 5, and back around 7. She said it helped her clear her head. I didn't think much of it. She's motivated. That's what I told myself. I'd already be making breakfast for the kids when she got back, and by the time I got home at night, she was usually passed out on the couch. Said she was exhausted. I get it. Kids are no joke, but we hadn't had any couple time in months. No dinners, no sitting down to talk, nothing. I figured it was just a phase. We were in the thick of it. Little kids, careers, bills. Nobody's love life looks like a movie at that stage. I thought that's what we were pushing through. Turns out, she was pushing in another direction. It started when one of my buddies, we'll call him Jason, mentioned something in passing. He goes to the same gym as her, same early morning hours. He said, "Hey, I've seen your wife in there. Does she have a trainer or some coach that follows her around like a puppy dog?" I asked if he meant a personal trainer, and he said, "No, not officially. Just some guy who's always around, always spotting her, even when she's not lifting heavy. Sometimes he walks out with her, that kind of thing." Jason wasn't trying to start anything, just telling me what he saw. I nodded, thanked him, and didn't react, but something about it stuck with me. I didn't want to be that paranoid husband making accusations with no proof, but I also wasn't getting played again. My previous marriage ended when I caught my ex cheating. Same signs, same weird disconnect. I ignored them until it was too late. Not this time, so I paid attention. The first thing I noticed was her phone was never out of her hand. She used to leave it charging around the house on the counter or the nightstand. Not anymore. Also, she had it on silent. I asked her about it one day, and she said she was sick of spam calls. Fair enough, but I'm not an idiot. Then, one morning I got up to get a wrench I left in the kitchen drawer and saw her phone lit up on the table. She was in the shower. I picked it up, didn't open it, just looked at the lock screen. It had a notification from her fitness tracker. Nothing weird, just a gym check-in. But something caught my eye. The check-in time said 4:41 a.m. She left the house at 5:15. I checked the next day, same thing. The gym location was popping up before she even left the driveway. That's when I started digging. I knew her fitness app synced to the cloud. We set it up together on the home computer when we were trying to track calories during her pregnancy. I logged into the account from the shop laptop and pulled up the GPS records. None of those gym check-ins were at the actual gym address. An orange F-150. That's when something clicked. I remember Jason had told me in confidence once, "My coach drives an orange F-150. He's obsessed with that truck." So I called Jason and asked him straight up, "Hey, you remember that orange F-150 you told me about? Your coach's, it's always at that park." He paused and said, "Yeah, that's him." I asked him for a favor. Next time he was at the gym, could he get a picture of the license plate? 2 days later, he sent me the photo. There it was, clear as day, the plate. I stared at it like my life depended on it. I burned it into my memory like it was the most important thing I'd ever have to remember. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I wasn't going to tip her off. I needed more. I needed something that made it undeniable. So I waited, and while I waited, I started moving money. I opened a new account at a bank across town. I started transferring savings there. I changed my direct deposit. I told her my old account had some fraud issues. I closed the joint credit cards. She barely noticed. She always used her personal card anyway. Then I ordered one of those discreet dash cams with a motion sensor and cloud storage. I installed it in her SUV while she was inside bathing the kids. I told her I was rotating the tires. I knew I couldn't stop whatever was happening, but I could make sure I didn't get screwed by going in blind. I didn't expect anything from the dash cam right away. It was more of a long game. Install it. Forget about it. Let her forget about it. Most people think cameras are just for traffic or accidents, but this one had a parking mode with motion sensors. It was hardwired to stay on, even when the engine wasn't. The footage uploaded to the cloud whenever it was triggered. I set the folder to private and checked it every few days from the shop computer. The first few clips were nothing. Leaves blowing across the driveway, a neighbor's cat, a delivery guy turning around in our cul-de-sac. But then came the morning I got exactly what I needed. A Thursday at 5:28 a.m., the SUV was parked at that same trailhead parking lot. It's a tight shot because it faces the woods, but the motion event triggers when the driver's side door opens. She gets out. Gym bag, ponytail, earbuds. She's wearing that same green hoodie she always says is too comfortable not to wear every day. She walks around the front of the car, stands there for maybe 10 seconds. Then the orange F-150 pulls up. I paused the clip and stared at the license plate. It was grainy, but it matched the one I had burned into my memory. I let it play. The guy gets out in a sweatshirt and a hat pulled low. Can't see his face well, but it doesn't matter. She jogs over and hugs him. Not a friendly hello hug. It was a full body, both arms around him hug, like she hadn't seen him in weeks. They talked for a minute, and then they both got into his truck, her in the passenger seat. She left her car running. 10 minutes go by. The camera doesn't pick up what's happening inside the truck. It's parked behind hers, but I see movement. Then the passenger door opens. She gets out, adjusts her hoodie, and walks back to her car. He drives off first. She sits in her car for another 5 minutes and finally pulls away and heads home. That was it. I didn't lose it. I didn't cry, didn't scream. I just closed the laptop, stood up, and went back to work on the carburetor I was rebuilding. I remember thinking, okay, now we're playing. That was the difference between me and her. She was acting on emotion. I was acting on logic. I didn't need to yell. I didn't need to confront her. I needed to make sure that when this thing blew up, it landed on her, not me. And the only way to do that was to keep everything quiet until the time was right. That night, I kissed her on the forehead while she was loading the dishwasher and asked if she wanted pancakes on Saturday. She smiled and said that sounded nice, like she hadn't just gotten out of some other guy's truck that morning. I kept playing the part. Over the next 2 weeks, I collected more. Same parking lot, same truck. Sometimes they'd switch it up and park at different ends of the trailhead. Sometimes they'd both just sit inside her SUV. One time, I watched them get out and walk into the woods together. That one was probably the worst, because if you're taking your workout buddy into the woods at 6 a.m., it's not for cardio. Every time I got a new clip, I saved it twice. Once on the cloud and once on an external drive I kept hidden in the false bottom of my toolbox. I wasn't losing anything. In the meantime, I met with a lawyer. A friend who went through a brutal divorce a couple of years back recommended him. We met in a quiet office above a strip mall, no big signs, no frills, just a guy who knew his way around a courtroom. I told him everything, showed him the footage, laid out the story. He watched, he listened, barely said a word, leaned back in his chair, and said, "You've got a good foundation here, but nothing so far proves anything conclusively. You need something solid, something undeniable. Keep looking. If you get it, full custody isn't out of the question." That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing. What else could be out there? Meanwhile, my wife had no idea about any of it. I was still kissing her goodbye in the mornings, still helping fold laundry, still taking the kids out on Saturdays so she could get a break. She'd thank me with the same face she used when we were first married. like nothing had changed. And that's what got me the most. It wasn't just the lie. It was how easy it was for her. How naturally she slipped into the role of mother and wife, like she didn't have a whole second life parked at the edge of a trailhead 3 times a week. She had no idea the walls were already closing in. One night, I told her I was taking the kids camping the next weekend. Just one night, a couple of hours away, a cheap campground with a creek and some campfires. I told her, I wanted to spend time with the kids. Give you a break. She loved the idea. Said she could use the me time. She offered to pack the snacks for the trip. Perfect. What she didn't know was that I'd installed 2 new cameras in the house. One looking at the shop and one watching the front door, motion activated, cloud connected, and discreet. When Friday came, I loaded up the truck with snacks, sleeping bags, and 2 sleepy kids. We left around 5 p.m. I kissed her and said, I love you. See you tomorrow night. Within 40 minutes, we were at a friend's cabin. The kids were asleep early. I opened the laptop and waited. At 6:12 p.m., the front door camera pinged. She walked out in that same green hoodie again. At 6:35, the orange truck was back. This time, they went into the house. I sat on my friend's cabin couch with the laptop open and the kids snoring softly in the next room, and I watched a man who wasn't me walk into my house, the house I had built a life in. The door camera caught them standing on the porch for maybe 10 seconds. She looked around like she thought someone might be watching. Rookie mistake. If you're going to cheat, don't do it on your own front porch like you're delivering packages. I mean, she didn't even wait 24 hours after I left with the kids. She let him in like he owned the place. The motion camera in the shop triggered next. That one had a better angle. She brought him in through the laundry room door. She even turned on the shop lights like she was proud of the place. My place, the one I wired and insulated and spent every Sunday on so she wouldn't have to worry about money. I watched her show him around like it was a guided tour. Then she leaned back against my workbench and laughed at something he said. My tools, my name, were less than a foot from her head. And then it happened. He moved in closer. She didn't back away. They kissed, long, slow, like they had all the time in the world. This wasn't a nervous affair. They were comfortable. This wasn't just flirting anymore. Not just emotional games. This was physical. This was proof. I didn't get emotional. That part of me was already dead. I'd killed at the moment I saw her get into his truck the first time. What I felt now was sharp, clear, not rage, but strategy, like when you're torquing down a cylinder head bolt. Measured, exact, and final. They were in the shop for about 45 minutes. The camera caught bits and pieces, not full-on scenes that would make a jury cringe, but more than enough to make the story clear. He had his hand on her hip at one point. She was leaning against him in another. He lifted her up once. They were smiling the whole time. That night, I sent the footage to my lawyer. He replied immediately, "This is exactly what we needed. I'll draft the motion on Monday." By Saturday morning, I had a plan laid out. Step 1, get the kids somewhere safe. Step 2, serve her with the papers while she was still on cloud 9. Step 3, hit the reset button on my life and take everything I'd earned with me. We got back late Saturday night. The kids were asleep in the back seat with their juice boxes still half full. I carried them in one by one, tucked them in, and then went to the kitchen where she was pretending to look at her phone. "How was it?" she asked. "Good," I said. "Did they like the creek?" She smiled. "I'm glad you got some time with them." That was the last normal conversation we ever had. The next morning, I got up early, dressed the kids, told her I was taking them out for pancakes. She was half asleep and waved us off. I'd already packed their bags the night before. We didn't come back that day. I went straight to my lawyer's office. He had everything ready. Divorce petition filed for irreconcilable differences, citing infidelity and abandonment. Motion for emergency temporary custody based on physical evidence and risk of instability. We had the dashcam footage, the shop footage, the location records. We even had my friend Jason willing to testify that she was meeting this guy at the gym and lying about it for months. At 2 p.m., while she was probably making a smoothie or watching some influencer sell leggings, she was served with the papers on our front porch, the same spot she let him in. She called me 6 times in 20 minutes. Left voicemails, all confused, playing dumb. "What is this? Are you serious? I can't believe you're doing this. This is insane." I didn't answer a single one. Around 4:30, I got a text. "Can we at least talk, please? For the kids." I didn't reply. At 6, she sent another. "This isn't what it looks like." It wasn't serious. I laughed out loud at that one. That's what they always say when it all blows up in their face. It wasn't serious after months of 6 a.m. parking lot meetups and making out on my workbench. I stayed at my friend's place again that night. The kids were fine. We ordered pizza and watched cartoons. They didn't know what was happening yet, and I wasn't about to let her drag them into it. The next morning, she showed up at his house. I didn't answer the door. She stood outside for 10 minutes, trying everything. First soft, then crying, then yelling, then name-calling. Said I was poisoning the kids against her, as if I'd even mentioned her name in front of them. I hadn't, and I wouldn't. When she finally left, my friend looked at me and said, "You okay?" I told him, "Better than I've been in months." That Monday, I filed for full custody. The courtroom didn't scare me. I've been in worse places, under trucks in the middle of winter, pulling transmissions with my knuckles bleeding, the lights flickering, and the phone ringing because someone's car won't start. The courtroom was just paperwork and suits, and honestly, I showed up cleaner and more put together than I had been in months. Fresh haircut, button-down shirt, organized binder in my hand. My lawyer had it all tabbed out: dashcam footage, shop footage, GPS records, a timeline of incidents, even cross-reference schedules of her fake gym check-ins. No emotion, just facts. She showed up 10 minutes late, alone, no lawyer, wearing the same jacket I got her last Christmas. Her face looked like she hadn't slept, which might have mattered to me if I hadn't watched her draped over another man on my workbench like it was a romantic movie set. The judge called us first for the emergency custody hearing. My lawyer presented the evidence. Straightforward. He didn't even need to embellish it, just showed the pattern of behavior. Wife disconnects from the home, creates a false gym schedule. She is repeatedly recorded meeting another man outside that gym in secret during family hours. She then invites him into the marital home the same night the husband takes the children out. The judge asked her what she had to say. She blinked like she didn't understand the question. Then she dropped the classic, "It's complicated." The judge leaned forward. "This isn't complicated. You were either at the gym or you weren't. This man is either a personal trainer or he's not." She tried to deflect. "I was going through a hard time. I needed someone to talk to. So why not your husband?" Silence. And then came the line I'll never forget. "I didn't think he'd understand." The room was quiet. My lawyer didn't even look up from his notes. The judge just wrote something down and moved on. She asked for joint custody, claimed she was still the primary caregiver, that I'd always been busy with work and didn't understand what it was like to be home all the time. My lawyer pulled out the calendar, showed the hours I worked, the home shop I built to be near the kids, the records of drop-offs and pickups, the doctor appointments I left work for, and the meals I cooked. We even had screenshots from the family text chat. Me coordinating everything, her ignoring half of it to send memes to her gym friends. The judge looked at me and asked, "You want full custody?" I said, "Yes, Your Honor. I'm not taking their mother away from them. I'm just trying to give them stability." That hit home. 2 hours later, the judge awarded me full temporary custody pending the divorce. She was allowed visits, but they had to be supervised until an outside counselor completed an evaluation. She tried to argue, claimed I was using the kids to punish her. That's when the judge raised his voice. "Ma'am, you created this situation, and your husband came with proof. You came with excuses," he added. "And since the marital home is solely in his name and the children will remain with him, you are to vacate the property within 10 days, unless a new arrangement is reached in mediation." She went pale, didn't say a word. I walked out of that courtroom with my kids. My lawyer gave me a nod and said, "This isn't over yet, but she's lost the moral high ground." Back at the house, I started cleaning. I threw out the hoodie she wore for her morning meetups. I put her spare toothbrush in the trash. I bagged up everything she'd left behind that she hadn't asked for yet, mostly clothes and gym stuff. It fit in 2 trash bags. That showed how little of her life she'd left tied to our home. She treated it like a locker room. She sent a few texts that week. Some soft, "I miss the kids. Can I come by and talk?" Some hard, "You didn't have to humiliate me in court. This is all about your ego." I didn't answer. I had too much to do. Appointments, daycare, meal prep, the usual. Except now I wasn't splitting the work, I was doing it all. And funny enough, it felt lighter, no second-guessing, no passive-aggressive comments. Just me, the kids, and a schedule I controlled. Then I got the call. It was from her gym's manager. He said he'd heard rumors, and wanted to know if I had any concerns about a trainer getting involved with clients. I told him I had video evidence, but I wasn't looking to escalate. I just told him, if you've got a married trainer meeting married clients outside of training hours and sneaking into their houses, I imagine that'll reflect poorly on your brand. 2 days later, I heard the guy had been quietly let go. Turns out, he folded fast, probably scared of it all splashing back on the gym. Reputation matters when your paycheck depends on trust and image, and hooking up with married clients isn't exactly good PR, so he vanished like he was never there. She, on the other hand, posted a vague quote on her Instagram that week. Sometimes people show their true colors too late. She was obviously talking about me. Classic move, play the victim for sympathy likes. A few days later, she doubled down with something more venomous. A hint about narcissists and men who use fatherhood as a weapon. Petty, cruel, typical. But I didn't take the bait because I wasn't trying to win on Instagram. I was trying to win custody, and I already had it. The divorce hearing was still on the way, but I wasn't worried. I had the truth. And the man she bet it all on, he never once showed his face. It didn't take long after the hearing for things to start unraveling on her end. I wasn't watching her life, not stalking her socials, not asking around. But news gets back to you. Small-town problems. Her gym let the trainer go the same week I made that call. No press release, no public story, just a he no longer works here, and his picture scrubbed from the staff page. I'm not naive. He probably didn't lose his job just because of my heads up. But businesses don't like drama that leaves a paper trail. A married man getting involved with a married client. Caught on security cameras using a public business as a cover for meetups. It's too messy. They cut their losses, and he was her anchor. He was the guy she risked her marriage, her family, and her reputation for. And he was gone before she could even process the fallout. From what I heard, he didn't just get fired. He moved, transferred gyms, quietly vanished before the mess could catch up to him. She never admitted it, but I pieced it together. The orange truck was suddenly never around anymore. No more 5 a.m. parking lot videos, no more late gym check-ins. It was like he'd been erased from her map. He probably told her he needed space. Sure he did. Best part, she never even mentioned him in court. Not once. She didn't try to defend the relationship, didn't acknowledge the timeline. She wanted to wipe him from the story completely. She wanted the judge to believe she just made a mistake, an emotional slip-up. But I had the timestamps, the videos, the records. Her reality ghost didn't stand a chance. The first couple of weeks after, she tried to play it cool. She showed up for the supervised visits. She acted like she was adjusting. She put on the cooperative co-parenting personality like it was a new outfit. Her texts were polite, dry. No more long paragraphs or guilt trips, just logistics. Can I bring their jackets on Friday, or do they still need new shoes before next weekend? But I could feel the panic underneath it. She was kicking just to keep from showing she was sinking. Her old routine, the gym, the friends, the selfies, the compliments, was tied to the identity she thought she could become. That future drove away with the orange truck. About 3 weeks in, she slipped up. She was 20 minutes late for a drop-off. The supervisor noted it. The next visit, she looked terrible, tired, pale, eyes sunken. I didn't say anything. Then the email from her came. Not a text, a real, long paragraph email. Subject line, please read this. I opened it not because I cared, but because I like to know what I'm dealing with. It was exactly what I expected. She blamed stress. She said she was lost, that the gym wasn't an affair, but an escape. She claimed she never meant to hurt anyone, that I wasn't affectionate enough, that I pushed her away by being too busy, that she felt lonely even when I was there. Classic projection. She cheated in my shop, and is now complaining I was in it too much. Then she asked if we could talk, privately. She said she didn't want to be enemies, that she wanted to be on the same team again for the kids. I didn't answer a single one, because here's the truth most men won't admit when they come crawling back. It's not about love, it's about damage control. She didn't miss me. She missed the version of herself that didn't have consequences yet. I took that away from her. I gave her time, let her have the illusion, but behind the scenes, I wasn't done. My lawyer filed an additional motion. We weren't just going for supervised visits anymore. We were pushing to have them extended indefinitely, citing instability. We had dates, patterns, and a few subtle things she didn't know I was logging. Missed drop-offs, ignored school calls, weird behavior with the kids. I even installed a monitoring app on the family iPad set to alert me anytime an app was installed or deleted. One week, she tried to FaceTime them outside her hours and ended the call when they asked if Coach Tyler was coming back. That clip was saved, dated, and forwarded. The more she tried to fake progress, the more she proved how little had changed. Her world was shrinking, mine was expanding. I picked up new clients at the shop. I started posting time-lapse videos of my repairs on social media. I got a decent following. People liked the calm, how-to narration style. How to spot a bad CV joint got me 14,000 views in one night. I never expected that. The kids adjusted like champs. There was no more confusion. No more tension in the house. One night, my daughter asked if her mom was still mad at me. I told her no, because there was no point in lying, but she didn't need the whole truth yet either. I just told her that her mom was figuring some things out. The divorce wasn't an end for me. It was a liquidation. All the dead weight, the emotional debt, and the wasted energy were gone. Now I had room for something better. She, on the other hand, was still standing on the same pile of rubble, hoping someone would forget she was the one who lit the match. By the end of the month, I was in full control of every part of my life. She used to meddle in banking, planning, medical decisions, school. The courts saw who was actually present, and she was still waiting for a reply to that email. The day of the divorce hearing, I didn't feel nervous, I felt prepared. Everything I needed to say was already documented. There would be no accusations, no surprises, no emotional displays. Not on my end, anyway. Just facts, evidence, consistency. The same things that made me good in the shop were the same things getting me through this mess. I didn't rush, I didn't guess, and I didn't forget. She showed up with a lawyer this time. Some local guy with too much hair gel and a suit that probably hadn't been dry cleaned since he bought it. You could tell he was a quick settlement guy. Not a fighter, more of a talker who tries to guilt people into giving in. Wrong place, wrong day. My lawyer gave him a cordial nod and then pulled out the binder. The hearing started with a breakdown of how the marriage worked, or rather how I kept it working while she did the bare minimum. She said it wasn't what it looked like. The judge asked again, then what is it? Her lawyer fumbled something about emotional distance, a need for attention, how I was always in the shop as if I'd built it to escape her instead of being close by while still paying the bills. That's when I spoke up. I built it so I could be home, so I wouldn't have to commute to a second job across town. I wanted to be a present father. I fixed her friends' cars for free. I did all the house repairs. I cooked dinner, bathed the kids, cleaned the gutters. She said I was distant, but I was always within reach. She was the one who stopped showing up. That shut her lawyer up for a moment. Even she stopped fidgeting. Then came the custody argument. Her side asked for 50-50, claiming maternal attachment, early caregiving, and the argument that dad worked too much. But our evidence crushed that too. My lawyer presented charts showing I was more present at school events, doctor's appointments, and even dental visits. We had pictures, receipts. I even kept a log of every grocery run for the last 6 months. She had a yoga mat and a gym playlist. When it was her turn to speak, she tried to play the martyr. I made a mistake, she said. But that doesn't make me a bad mother. The judge didn't argue. He just said, mistakes are forgivable. Patterns are not. That was the theme of the whole case. She didn't just cheat. She created a second life, one that ran parallel to ours, like a shadow we didn't see until it started taking everything from us. Her lawyer tried to negotiate. We can at least agree on joint legal custody with primary physical custody to the father. My lawyer looked at me. I nodded. I wasn't trying to erase her, just protect what mattered. Final judgment. Full physical custody to me. Joint legal custody with conditions. She can't move without approval. All major decisions must be mutual. She gets supervised visits, pending counseling review, no spousal support. She keeps her car. I keep the house, the shop, and everything in it. Clean. When it was over, she just sat there. She didn't cry, didn't scream, just went blank, like the part of her that thought she could talk her way out of everything had been switched off. I didn't gloat. I didn't even look at her. I shook my lawyer's hand, took my binder, and walked out of that room feeling lighter than I had in years. When I got home, my daughter was drawing on the kitchen floor and my son was trying to open a string cheese wrapper. I sat down and helped him. No big announcement, no speech, just picked up where I left off. That night, I got one last text from her. I never thought you'd actually do it. I didn't reply. She didn't deserve a response. She underestimated me. She thought that because I didn't yell, I wouldn't act, that because I was quiet, I was weak, that because I forgave a lot, I would forgive everything. She was wrong. A few weeks after the divorce was finalized, the house finally felt like mine. Not just legally, but mentally. I had gone through every room, every drawer, every shelf, and cleared out anything that still had her scent on it. It wasn't rage, it was clarity. I wasn't living in our house anymore. I was living in the house I fought for, the one I paid for, the one I fixed and rebuilt down to the last corner. The kids started sleeping better. I started sleeping better. Life didn't just go back to normal, it got better. The first couple of weeks, she stuck to the custody agreement, showed up on time for her supervised visits, brought snacks, tried too hard to be cheerful, like she was trying to play the part of the fun mom who had it all together. But you could see it on her face every time she looked at the house, every time she saw my truck in the driveway, every time she walked past the shop she knew all too well. She knew she'd lost something real. Then the messages started. At first, they were simple. Let me know if the kids want anything from the store. Is our daughter still into patrol, or has she moved on? Let me know if you ever want to get coffee and just talk as friends. Then the messages got more personal. I've been thinking a lot about what happened. I really screwed up. You were always the stable one. I didn't realize how good I had it. Do you think we could ever try again? I ignored every single one. Not out of anger, just because I wasn't interested. There's nothing left to fix when the engine block is cracked and leaking oil on the floor. You don't repair something like that. You send it to the scrapyard, learn your lesson, and build something better. Then she showed up at the house unannounced. It was a Sunday morning. I was in the shop with my son, letting him help me change the oil on a neighbor's car. My daughter was inside coloring on the kitchen floor like always. I heard the doorbell and looked at the screen. It was her. Hair done, makeup on, jacket buttoned up like it was still her house, and she'd just forgotten her keys. I didn't answer the door. She rang again. Then she tried the handle, still locked. She knocked. I didn't move. Eventually, she sat on the front porch and just waited. I watched from the shop camera as she checked her phone, stood up, paced, sat back down. That went on for about 15 minutes. Then she got up and walked to the shop door. She knocked there, too. I didn't say anything. I just kept working on the car while my son handed me the wrong wrench for the 5th time in a row. I calmly corrected him, thanked him, and kept going. I had better things to do. She finally left. No note, no text, just a look over her shoulder like she expected me to be watching. I wasn't. She tried one more time. The next week, she sent a text. I miss you. I don't recognize the person I became. I'm seeing a therapist. I'm changing. I didn't reply. Because here's the thing. This wasn't a mistake. A mistake is forgetting to buy milk at the store. What she did was a choice. Not once, not twice. Repeated, planned, deceptive. She used our schedule against me, used my trust, used my shop, and when it all blew up, she didn't say sorry. She played dumb. She tried to rewrite history until a court forced her to face the facts. Now that her new life fell apart, now that the coach bailed on her, now that her gym friend stopped answering her texts, and she's not the center of attention anymore, now she misses me. No, I don't fix people who break themselves on purpose. She still has her visits. I keep it professional, just drop-offs and pickups. I don't look at her for longer than I have to. The kids are adjusting well. They're too young to know the details, and I'm not going to poison them with my side. They'll figure it out when they're older. They'll see who stayed, who was present, who kept things stable. My daughter still calls me daddy because that's what I am, every day, not just when it's convenient. Sometimes people ask me if I'd ever think about giving her another chance, like maybe when the dust settles we could rebuild something, right? No, because the moment you let someone like that back in, you teach them that loyalty doesn't matter, that betrayal has a soft landing. And I'm not teaching my kids that. We moved on. We're better. I'm rebuilding cars in my shop now, cooking real meals in my kitchen, and watching cartoons on the floor with 2 kids who know they're safe. And every once in a while, when I see that green hoodie of hers in a donation bag or hear her car's engine down the street and don't even flinch, I realize it wasn't a loss. It was a damn liberation. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.